everyone, so long time no see. Today is going to be a completely different kind of video. If you know my channel very well, you know that basically I just document my hobbies, my interests. I have a lot of them, and if you've been here for a while, you'll know if I get into something, I'll collect something. And for the last 6 months I've been kind of slyly learning the tarot. I had no interest in the tarot before. I had like a video just pop up on TikTok for me and it really spoke to me, and I was like, I would like to learn these cards. But I didn't want any dusty, crusty pack of cards that had all white people over them. I wouldn't have considered learning tarot if I could only find those decks, which is what I thought I would find. But luckily there is an abundance of decks out there, like literally that I could spend hours just looking at decks, and I do. I don't really want to own any decks that aren't inclusive. I may not be in the LGBTQ community, but I really appreciate having queer influence in my decks. But mostly for myself, I just want to make sure that I am represented in there somewhere. And I've looked on YouTube a few times and can't find anyone just like making a list of all their favorite inclusive decks or decks for black people. So I thought, why not make one? Because I've actually amassed quite a collection in the 6 months that I've been collecting them, and I thought I'll go through them. I'll kind of try and do them in order of my favorites, but I know some of them are going to be out of place just purely because I think they'll be worth mentioning sooner rather than later, and I will leave my favorite one till last. So these are going to be all of my decks, which are pretty much all of my decks that are inclusive, mostly for black people, but also a lot of queer influence. So the camera angle is really bad because I can't find my little phone prop. I don't want to use my tripod because it has to be in a weird position. Anyway, I've been posting a lot more about my oracle and my tarot reads and learning on my Instagram. So if you're interested in following me or looking at my cards in more depth as I use them, feel free to follow me at r_c_chick on Instagram. That is where you're going to find most of my stuff. First off, when I wanted to get a deck of cards, I just knew I needed black people in it. I just need to have black people in it. I was not interested in having white people. Sorry for white people if you find that offensive. I'm not actually sorry at all. Black people consistently throughout all of time have constantly had to see white people represent us in things. And with something as personal as tarot, I really wanted to make sure that I saw myself in them. So it is important for that. It's not that I don't like white decks. There's a lot of decks out there that just have white people in it. I'm like, that's a beautiful deck. If only it had some black people in it. I don't like feeling excluded in this way where it's better relate to me personally. So I do use my decks mostly for myself and for guidance and healing. I want to heal with my decks. So I do really feel like I need to have that connection with myself in there. So representation really matters when it comes to tarot, in my opinion anyway. The first deck that I actually picked up was the Pulp Girls tarot deck. This is an all femme deck, so if you like to have the masculine energy in there, this might not be the one for you. But this is the box that it comes with. This one is made by Rock Point. It has like a little velvet thing in there, but I don't actually keep any of my decks in their boxes, although I got the Adventure Time deck today and that has to be in its box for now, and I hate tuck boxes. So I actually keep all my tarot decks in a drawer beside my bed so that they are at head height while I'm sleeping. When I get a new deck, I touch all of my cards, I knock on my cards, and I sleep with them under my pillow for 3 nights. I don't know why I chose 3. 3 just feels right for me. So then after that, if they're not my favorite deck, they will go in the drawer with a bag. And I do still use them. It's just that I do have a favorite deck that I just go to all the time, and I just can't put it in the drawer. It feels wrong to put it in the drawer, so it sleeps with me literally every night, either beside my head, in my pillows, or under my pillow. So this is the backs of the cards. I did edge them in purple. They're a bit beat up. They'll beat up when I actually edge them, but they've got beat up again since, like I said, I do use all my decks. It is obviously reversible with the heads. So I'm gonna get out, like, this deck isn't all black people, but it has a lot of black representation in the deck. So I'm just going to go through and pick out some of the more inclusive cards. So I've pulled out all the cards that I believe are not white people, and it seems to be about half the decks. This is the side that is more obviously not white people. And I say that because a lot of the cards are racially ambiguous, but you can tell they're not white. Mostly I'm going to show you as well because the white people are very, very clearly white. And even in this pile here, there are some that I would say are racially ambiguous, but I'm going to leave them out because they're a little bit more on the, they could just be a tanned white person, but the white people are very clearly white on the whole in this deck. But here we go. Here are some of the cards. So we have these 2 black women on the 2 of cups. The Hermit is a black woman. Then we have like people who are like, say, like maybe Hispanic or maybe Asian, but either way, they are not white. And I don't care what race they are, as long as they're not white. I don't want a whole deck of white people. I'm sorry, I'm just done with that. It's been forever, all my life. Everything has been all white people. I want to see more variety. And we have the Nine of Pentacles. This is probably one of my favorite temperance cards. So I really do see myself in this temperance. Like, that's me if I can ever get myself fucking peaceful. So love that one. And we've got the Chariot, which is actually it's aligned with my star sign, as it's got Cancer energy. So I like that as a black woman on this one as well, because it is a card that I relate to. Then more racial ambiguity. And like I say, you can see the white people. And this is not a white person. So love it. I love this Three of Cups as well. And we've got the Knight of Swords. So as you can see, they are all femme. But they're not like all obviously presenting feminine. Some of them are a bit more masculine and feminine. So it depends if that really does bother you or not with this deck. If you do want obviously male energy. But I just really like this deck. And this is the first deck I ever got. I do use it the least. I love this one. It's got a queer biracial relationship there. And the Ten of Cups of emotional harmony, emotional fulfillment. I think that's lovely. I don't use this deck as much anymore because I did a deck interview. And this deck apparently wants to be used with my financial queries. So I only really use it when I want to ask the cards, is this a bad thing for me to buy? But a lot of times I don't want to be told something's a bad thing to buy. So I won't consult them. But a bigger purchase, I will ask these cards if I should, or, you know, financial things. So I don't get to use it as much. I try not to take forever going through all the cards, but I just thought if anyone is also looking for decks that have racial diversity or other kinds of diversity as well, but this is mostly about racial diversity, and you're not sure which decks to buy, like a closer look at them, I thought this video might be helpful to make. Oh, I love this one. And I also like the body positivity in this deck as well. Not everyone is twig thin, so it's really sweet. There's the Queen of Swords. This one I like because we don't really see the character anyway, even on the Rider-Waite-Smith one. But they still made the effort to make this person a black person by just putting the hand in there. So I love it. And they're all of the cards that I feel are the ones that are most obviously not white people in the Pulp Girls tarot deck. So I'm going to move on to the next deck. And the next deck I bought, I'll go in order of when I bought them for now, at least. The next deck I bought was by Vanessa Samina. It's the Pastel Journeys tarot deck. Vanessa Samina is a YouTuber and she makes quite a few decks, but she's also a black creator. So definitely wanted to support her. And I keep it in this Kuromi bag. This deck comes with foiling. It's a lot thicker than the deck I just had, which is quite soft cards. These ones are like almost like plastic cards. So I'm going to go through here and pick up my cards. Oh my God, these cards are so beautiful. They don't follow Rider-Waite-Smith. So if you're looking to learn, I wouldn't recommend these are the best ones to learn with. You probably want to learn with a Rider-Waite-Smith clone, like the Pulp Girls one that I just showed you. But if you've already been practicing with a Rider-Waite-Smith and you just sick of seeing the white people on there, then maybe you might want to get this one if you like the imagery, but they are different from traditional. So I should point out as well that the other deck, although the side that had black people on it was smaller than the side with white people, there are a bunch of cards in the tarot that just don't have people on them. So those cards would have been included in there. So I think with this deck, what I'll do is I'll remove all the cards that don't have any people on there so we can get a really good idea of how evenly proportioned the diversity is in these decks. The good thing about this deck, although it doesn't follow Rider-Waite-Smith, it does have the male energy. So if you were missing that in the last one, then you're going to find it in this one. There are a lot of decks out there that are just white people, but there are seldom few decks that have just black people, or ones that have just black people but aren't like, don't give me racist vibes anyway. But I will get to that in a bit. Oh, I love this deck so much. Oh my god. Again, with this deck, the white people are very clearly white. Okay. So we've got 3 stacks of cards here. This is the stack that have people of color. This is the stack that have white people. So there is more white people than black people in here. So we have the Knight of Swords here. 8 of Swords. These cards, man, they're so pretty, the images. I love this card. This Knight of Wands is just amazing. So cute. The tower is so cute. I haven't got a cuter tower card than this. This is the cutest as it comes. The moon. I love the moon. Especially as I'm a Cancer, I'm ruled by the moon. And so that I do relate to this card a lot. So I appreciate that she's a black girl on the moon. And it's just such a pretty card. And the Empress. Oh my god. Love her so much. And what a cute 4 of Wands in a mixed relationship. This Ace of Pentacles has a black hand on it. King of Cups is very nice too. 2 of Wands. 2 of Swords. 10 of Wands. 2 of Pentacles. The King of Pentacles. And the Queen of Cups. That's me. That's me. I'm a Cancer. I'm a Cancer Queen. So yeah, that's me. I love this card as well. Oh, it's amazing. I love this deck. I should use this deck more often. But this deck, when I interviewed it, it really wants to talk about love. And it's super, super soppy. So it can be a little bit too sweet for me sometimes. Princess of Cups. I don't have the pages in this one. They change it to princesses. The Lovers. 2 of Cups. The World. 6 of Cups. 7 of Pentacles. Queen of Pentacles, 10 of Pentacles, and Temperance. So as you can see as well, this one is very queer inclusive as well. So if that's something that's important to you, you're going to get that in here too. Okay, so that was my second deck I bought. Now I'm going to go off the beaten track and just go through my Liminal 11 decks. I hear there's problems with Liminal 11. I'm not really sure what they are. I think there's something to do with the Cannabis Oracle deck where the creator has a bad attitude, but I don't really see that as Liminal 11's problem. Plus they're super inclusive with all their decks. With the creators they have, the decks they produce are really inclusive. So I've kind of just taken to collecting them. I do have one that I don't like at all, but it is inclusive and I did want to have it because I've pretty much got all their decks now and it's like, I guess, part of the collection. So I have it, but I use it for healing, but I'm going to get a better healing deck soon. So it will just be obsolete at some point and I may even return it to its box. But let me just get into what decks I have from Liminal 11. So the first one I bought was the Modern Witch deck because this one blatantly has a black person on the front and everyone was loving on this deck. I have some issues with it, which appear to be the same issues that other people have as well, but it's still a very nice inclusive deck. I also have the White Newman deck, which is one of my favorite decks. Not as inclusive, but it is inclusive. We've got the Cosmic Slumber. And then I have the Lunar Soul. I also have the Mystic Medleys on its way, which is not going to be an inclusive deck. It's just a cartoon deck. And also got the This Might Hurt deck come in, the limited edition version. Super excited about that one. It's super inclusive. Gonna love it. So, ooh, they're gonna fall over. There we go. Okay, let me get these decks out. So the first one I'll get out is the White Newman. It's the first one that was to my hands. Some of them come with these little bags. I love the bags that they make. I wish all of them come with bags because now I'm sad about the ones that don't have bags. So I don't think the This Might Hurt one is going to come with a bag, which sucks. Especially as I'm getting a limited edition. I feel like it should definitely come with a bag or a limited edition, but whatever. Moaning. Anyway, this one I also edged because it was... At the time when I edged it, it was my favourite deck, but it is just one of my favourites now. I will reach for this more often than most of the other decks. This also doesn't follow the traditional Rider-Waite, so you're going to find a lot of differences in here. So if that's something that you want from your decks, if you want them to be inclusive, do you want them to be traditional or do you mind going off the beaten path? Because this is off the beaten track, this one. So let me go through and get the cards out. I'll do the same thing as I did last time. Black pile, white pile, and a pile that have no people in it, so they're irrelevant, so I'll remove them from there. Actually, this is way more inclusive than I remember already, just from looking at what I've got here. This deck also comes with 2 extra cards, a white Newman and a black Newman card, and the guide will tell you what those cards mean, and you can either take them out of the deck and just use them for different purposes, but I like to keep them in, and if they come out in a read, I have them as additional cards that have come out. I don't keep it as part of the main read. It was more of like an energy around the read. I don't think she's white. She's different. And she's also an awesome Queen of Cups. But I'll show you her in a minute. I just love a lot of the pictures on these cards. The Tower card in here, I absolutely adore. It's just so different. There's queer representation in this as well. The lovers being 2 women again. You don't often find a deck with 2 men, but there are some out there. I think I might have one. I did have the Star Spinner Tarot that had multiple lovers, so you can just switch it out for whoever you're reading for, or for yourself if you are queer yourself and you want to have a couple that matches yourself on there. But I've actually given that to a friend who is actually queer, so I think he will really like that, because I believe he's pan, so it means he can just change it out depending on who he's talking about, what relationship he's pursuing, and I think that's really sweet, so I thought he'd like that deck. Oh, that one's okay. I have put the ones that don't have people in there as well, so that's annoying, but I don't think I'm gonna go for it. Just bear in mind that our cards in there that don't have any people. This is the quite thick. So I was right in my assumptions that the other decks are more inclusive than this deck, but this deck is still quite inclusive, but it has got much smaller pile. Bear in mind that in here, I will take them out. Let me take out the ones that don't have any people on them, especially as there is 2 extra cards. Okay, I've took out all the cards that have no people on them and the 2 extra cards that come in this deck, because that's going to make a little bit of a difference. So the deck seems a lot more balanced now. It's still more on the white, although some of these people, like I say, racially ambiguous. So, but these are the ones that I feel are more clearly ethnic. So we've got the Sun, 9 of Pentacles. I wonder if there's like a theme, like an accidental theme through these things. I've noticed that a few of the cards repeat to have black people on those particular cards, and I would like to go through my decks and see. I know this one doesn't really look that much, but if you can see by his hands, is brown. These aces all have hands reaching up, and they're all of different shades of skin color, so it's inclusive. So this 3 of Cups is so pretty. Sorry, 10 of Cups and the 3 of Cups. I always remember them being very similar. 4 of Swords, 6 of Swords, 3 of Wands. Again, aces with the hands. Death, 6 of Pentacles, Queen of Wands. Oh, she's a bad bitch. I love her so much. Again, another ace. Queen of Wands looks so good. Love her. Then we've got the Page of Cups, the 2 of Cups, 5 of Wands, 7 of Wands, Ace of Pentacles, and the 7 of Pentacles. So that is the white Newman deck. Really love this deck. I don't know if I showed you the box of so Pastel Journeys is this one, and we had the white Newman. The white Newman opens with a little magnetic clasp, and then it slides out, and then you have this pretty box inside. Okay, and the next one we're going to do is the Cosmic Slumber, also by Liminal 11. Also has the flap and then the box inside. This one had a bit of cardboard stuck to it, and I knew before I got it that it was going to have that in there, but I just could not leave it in there. It was driving me nuts. So I was prepared to have the paper inside rip a little bit, which it did, but I prefer that than having the bit of ugly cardboard in there. So that's like that now. But this one also comes with a bag. Love it. The cards kind of fit perfectly in it. They're kind of snug, but they're not hard to get in or out. They're just, I don't know, they're just perfect bags. I love them. Okay, so I'm just going to go through these now and get out all the racially inclusive cards from this one. And I'll try and remember to take them out. The ones that don't have anyone on them. I have a feeling that all of these have people on them, though. These are some of the early decks I got. And I pretty much, if I saw a black person in it, I was like, yes! And I noticed a lot of the decks that were coming out that I liked. Well, not coming out, but a lot of decks that I liked that I saw were out. Were Liminal 11. So I kind of was like, I like this company. They like to include everyone. So I'm going to pay attention to them. And that is what I've done. The only thing about Liminal 11 is their card stock is a little bit on the thick side. So it makes it a bit tricky to shuffle. Sometimes I find I scuff up the edges quite easy. Again, this is a deck where there's a lot of racial ambiguity in the cards. When it's like this card, I'm going to put it on the white side, but there's no, you can't tell what race this person is. So, but the white people, you can tell are very clearly white people. So that's where I kind of draw the difference. I'm getting a phone call. So it doesn't actually look like there's any aces in this deck with any racial diversity. All the aces in this deck are a bit different from others. Like this deck is just super trippy. That's why I liked it. But all the aces have like a tiny little person in it, like way smaller than the ace symbol that's being shown. And I think it's kind of cute to try. And it's like, where's Wally? Where are they? So this deck definitely isn't as inclusive when it comes to racial aspects, but we do still have some. So I surpass for me. So this will probably be down low on my list if I was ranking it. I'll try and rank them at the end in terms of which are the most and least inclusive. Okay, so in this deck we have the Seven of Swords. This one is just, he's got browner hands, but I don't know if it's showing up very well on the camera. They are a lot more ambiguous in this. So the browns are a lot paler. There's not really any... This is a black person, but there's not many dark-skinned black people in here, I must say. They are more on the lighter side. But as I say, you can tell they're not white because the white people are very white. Here's a white person for you for comparison. So you can definitely tell that they are going for diversity in this deck. Here we go. I love this Empress. That was like the reason why I got the card. Got the deck rather. Oh, here's an ace, but oh, it's because there's a brown hand holding the sword. But there's like what I'll say about the little people in them. The pentacles one is actually kind of hard to see. And that's all of them in that one. So that's the Cosmic Slumber. So actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to arrange the boxes before I forget in terms of which ones were most to least inclusive. So the Cosmic Slumber, I believe, is the least inclusive. Then we have the White Newman, and then it would be Pastel Journey, and then Pulp Girls. The next deck I'll go through will be the Modern Witch. Now, this is the first Liminal 11 deck I got. It's got a lot of inclusivity. It's all femme deck again. So again, if you like the masculine energy, maybe it's not for you. But this one definitely has queer women in it too. So that might be enough for you. Maybe it's not. I don't care. As long as there's variety of all sorts of things, I'm happy. But this one, I don't like the box very much. The box, a lot of people complain about the box that it slides out, especially when you have the cards in there. But I don't mind because I don't keep the cards in there. But even when without the cards, look, there's no cards in there. 0 cards, and it's still slipping out. So, but there's the inside of this box. But this deck, I love it. I really do love this deck. But the cards are insanely thick, way thicker than the other ones. You get a, well, actually no, I bought the journal that comes with extra cards, but you do get an extra, like, yeah, this one. It's like an affirmation card you get with this deck, so I'll keep that aside. And I don't know if I got this with the deck or if I got this with the journal, but the everything is fine. 10 of Swords cards, I'm going to take that out. And then the additional gold cards I got with my journal. I actually use those for bookmarks now. Okay, so here is the deck. You see how thick it is. It's like a big, thick boy. And that's because the cards are just really, they're hard. They're not as hard as the plastic cards that come over the Pastel Journey, but these are a thick deck. And I don't use this deck very often. This deck, when I interviewed it, wants to be used with my friends. So I tend to reach for this deck when my friends want a reading. So let me just separate the cards out and we'll do the same thing. So like this one, the Knight of Swords. This is a femme deck, so we know they're all feminine characters, but very masculine energy there, or masculine presenting. So I hope it doesn't put people off, really. I just feel like as long as you can kind of see yourself, but I guess if you're a man and you're not going to see yourself in it, so maybe. But I do tend to think of the tarot community as women, but I really should get past that because I've actually found quite a few men and they're all very good as well. I like their reads. So are there any like full masculine decks? I don't know. There should be. I like that this one, the racial diversity is on there. Even though the characters are grayed out, you can see that this is clearly a black woman here. Just by her hair. Love it. Showing you the cards before we even finish now. This deck is very exciting to look at. I do like this deck. The inclusivity in this deck is seamless. It's like effortlessly done. I just wish the cardstock was smaller. Maybe one day they'll do a re-release of it and fix the box and fix the cardstock. Because I would probably buy this deck again, especially if I can get it gilded. Because I missed out on the limited editions for all of these, so I couldn't get them gilded. That's why I ordered my This Might Hurt deck as a pre-order of the limited edition, because that is the gilded ones. I wish the Queen of Cups was black in this one. Queen of Cups is often a card that I notice ends up being a black person in my decks. Like I say, that the theme of like having certain cards being black people. This is one of my few decks that has a white Queen of Cups. I do like having the black Queen of Cups because that's me. She is ambiguous, but I'm going to call her white. I love this one. What's the illness? Well, not illness. Skin condition. I can't remember what it's called now. What Michael Jackson had. I actually have a little pale spot on my belly that's a lot whiter than the rest of me. I just love the types of inclusivity in here. Queen of Pentacles is black in here. But I'm not the Queen of Pentacles. That's also got a brown person in it. Not the fakers, but a brown person. Okay, wow. Okay, this deck is far more balanced. I haven't took out any cards that don't have any people on there, but I'm not sure if any of the cards have no people. I think they all have someone on there somehow. But actually, the side that is brown is thicker by 1 or 2 cards than the side that isn't. So this is one that doesn't have black people. This is the side that is black people. And like I said, I left some in here that were ambiguous. So it's pretty 50-50. So in here we got Death. So shiny. 5 of Swords. You can see there's a black person here. High Priestess. I just love the modernization of this. I nearly swore, but it's so good. I like this 3 of Pentacles. I'm not normally killing art on the 3 of Pentacles, but this one's a really nice one. Look at that Queen of Pentacles. She is a queen. I love her. Temperance. That's the box. No, not the box art is the Magician. So there's Temperance. I think she's on the box somewhere though, isn't she? Yeah, she's on the side. That's why I know, because when it's on my shelf, that's the side that points out. There's that card again, the Queen of Wands. I love her as well. She's beautiful, that Queen of Wands. Four of Swords. The Tower, you can see the people falling from there. One white, one brown. Another girl and girl 2 of Cups. I would like to see some more men and men on the 2 of Cups. That would be nice. Or on the Lovers. Moon. King of Swords. 6 of Cups. 4 of Wands. King of Cups. I think a lot of it for me is I get very bored of seeing very samey images. So I do like obviously the racial aspect, but like just disabilities. I've seen some cards with like wheelchairs, things like that. And like I say, the queer aspect, because it's a bubble that I'm not part of, and it's very refreshing to see something different that represents reality, even if it's not part of my reality. I really appreciate seeing diversity in all its forms. I feel it helps us as people to grow, to be exposed to stuff that we might be hidden from. Not mostly purposely, you just might not be fortunate enough to have people like that in your life. It's nice to be able to see it and have it normalized, especially in such an effortless way. I do love this deck. And there's the cover. And then the 10 of Cups is beautiful. Love it. And the last one, the Empress. I love this Empress. One of my favorite Empress cards. I love her so much. Oh my god. Anyway, I've babbled a lot. Let me move on to the next deck. So this is really inclusive. This is going to go above the Pulp Girls. This has more than the Pulp Girls in it. Where's the bag? So I keep it in this bag. I have to keep it in a bigger bag because there's so many extra cards in this deck. That's because I added cards to it though from the journal. I actually have 2 of the journals. I have the limited edition journal that had the extra cards, but then it was too nice to write in, so I bought a normal edition of the journal to write in, but then couldn't write in that. So I've got 2 of the journals that are unwritten in. I just used them for like reference really, and I feel like when I decide to start using the pages, I'm going to photocopy the pages, so I never just write in them. Oh, I'm so lame. I really was hoping to use one of them, but I just can't seem to bring myself to do it. Right, the last Liminal 11 deck is the Lunar Soul. This is the deck I do not like. I don't like the cardstock. It's matte cardstock, but it feels like it's unfinished, if you know what I mean. It doesn't feel like it's been finished. I can't think of a better way of putting it. And also, I like the fact that the people look like normal people and like they're imperfect images of people. But I think I would have, I don't like the art style. I like the fact that they've styled the characters like real people, and like some people got like bent noses and things like that. I like that. I just don't actually like the artwork themselves. I do have the journal that goes along with this. And I might actually end up at some point getting rid of this deck at some point. If I find someone who would benefit from it more than I would, then I probably would pass it on. But I'll keep the journal. The artwork's fine for the journal. I just, when it comes to reading with them, I just don't connect to this artwork. So I'm going to go through these. But that really is just a preference thing. That isn't like the art is bad. I just don't connect to this art. This also has extra card duality, so I'm going to take that out and put it with the other cards that don't have people on there. There is lots of inclusivity in here, a lot of queerness in here. It's got a lot of variety in body shapes and sizes. So like that's like the selling point for me when I got it, is I just liked that it really did include everyone. But then using it, it doesn't grow on me. The art, I don't like the poses. Like this Page of Cups, I don't really like her pose. I don't know. This doesn't vibe with me, I guess. I really do appreciate the creators of these decks making the white people really white. So you can definitely tell that they are going for inclusivity with some of the paler skinned people, lighter skinned people. And like I said, some of this inclusion is just like hands and stuff, and I will include that. That counts for me. I don't care if it's just hands on the picture or if it's just hands that is black. They've included, and I like that, as long as that kind of goes through the deck to some degree. It's not like just a one-off. Okay, so this deck is highly inclusive. There's a lot of black and brown people here. I've managed to put a few cards over on this pile that shouldn't be there because they have people on them, and they're white people. Okay, so we have more brown people than white people. This is the brown, this is the white. So this one's even more inclusive than Modern Witch, which was 50-50. So let's go through these cards. I don't know if I'm getting my point across with the cards, because I don't want people to confuse the fact that they've made the people look normal with why I don't like it. That I actually think is a plus to this deck. I just don't like how they've actually been drawn. Oh, yeah, this has got the black hand on there. Yeah, some of the cards, like I like these, but it is like the style. I don't like the art style. I love this Empress. She's cool. I like the compositions of the pictures. A lot of it's about poses and just, yeah, like this. I don't know. It's just not for me. Also, like that Seven of Cups, I find it really expressive of sadness. I don't see the Seven of Cups as a sad card, and I find that her emotion seems more sad. What's that one? Seven of Wands. So I'm not like reading out all the names for all the cards. My fingers are getting in the way quite a lot, but also because it isn't so much about talking about the cards as it is just showing how inclusive each deck is, to give you an idea if this is a deck that you might want to get in terms of inclusivity. This one's a great one. I love this one, the body positivity on this, because they are just normal human bodies. I love that. And there's lots of different types of browns. This one has a brown person at the top. Okay, so the Lunar Soul, as much as it's my least favorite deck out of all the decks I own, it does happen to be the most inclusive deck in terms of racial diversity. So let's put that box ahead of the Modern Witch. They have been progressively. We had like some high inclusivity, then we went down a little bit, then we're going right up with the inclusivity. That has led me, yeah, I only have 3 other decks and they're not inclusive. These are, actually no, I have 4. I have a pink one up there, you can barely see it, but it's just like the cardstock sucks. I got it from Etsy, but it's like a Rider-Waite one, but it's all pink, so I gave it a pass. But these ones got a special pass because these are the Low Scarabeo before, after, and New Vision tarots, and I just like the concepts of these. I think one of these decks was made by a black creator, but she still chose to keep all white people in there. But you know, I give it a pass just because I really like the concept and the different perspectives of those decks, so I will use those. I also have a Pokemon deck, so it doesn't need to be inclusive, it's a fandom deck. And then I got, like I say, today I got my Adventure Time tarot deck, which also doesn't need to be inclusive. They are characters from a TV show. So the number 1 most inclusive deck I have is my favorite deck. That's why I reached to the side and not in my drawer, because this one sleeps with me every night, and it is the Mahogany Tarot. When I was looking for an all black deck, I found the African American Tarot, which I took umbrage with because I don't really like the term African American, but I'm also not American, so I don't really have much of a say. But I also don't like the name Mahogany Tarot. I don't really like any terms that describe black people like mahogany or ebony. But the African American Tarot, I don't know, I wasn't vibing with some of the images on there. I'm pretty sure it's made by a black person, but I know it seemed a bit too stereotypical, I guess. But also, this one was just an exact clone of Rider-Waite, and that's what I wanted. I wanted an exact clone of Rider-Waite, but no white people. And this deck is it. This is it, sis. If that's what you want, you're going to get it with this deck. I also edged it. This has been edged. Like, immediately I edged this deck. I was so excited to get it. Every single card is black in this deck. Every single one. And they do vary between their shades. You have some that are slightly lighter, some that are slightly darker, different hairstyles. I'm not going to go through every single card. You can tell that this is actually one of my newer decks, and it is just already getting beat up because I love on this deck so much. Look at that Empress. I really love this deck so much. I use it every day. Every damn day. There we go. There's a difference. We can see like the browns. Every damn day I use this deck. I love it. Absolutely adore it. And it's so nice because I get to learn the traditional Rider-Waite deck and be able to see myself in every card, not just like with the other decks. It's nice like that brown people come out, but there's always going to be like white people who pop up, and it's just nice to be like white people for once. When white people get stuff like this, they can expect to see themselves in every single card most often than not. It's nice for us to be able to have the opportunity to just, every card comes out and it's us. Representation matters. Oh, I said I wasn't going to go through all the cards, but here I am. Here's a quick flip through of the Mahogany Tarot. Love this deck. My favorite deck by far out of all my decks. In terms of my taste, the artwork on the White Newman is my favorite, and the Pastel Journeys, because Pastel Journeys isn't following Rider-Waite Smith at all. It's not at all a clone. It's a little bit harder to use. But my 2 favorite decks is the Mahogany Tarot number 1, and then it's White Newman, whereas White Newman used to be my favorite. It's the Queen of Cups. It's me. And then the Pulp Girls is my first deck. It's what I started learning on. I have a really like attachment to that deck, but I just don't use it very often because it's for money. It's for financial stuff. This is like my everyday tarot. And there we go, Emperor. So that is basically my tarot collection anyway. You've just now seen everything apart from the pink deck up there. You don't want to see that anyway. Rubbish. If you want to see any more of these decks in like full, if you want me to do a flip through, like if you have any suggestions of something that you'd like me to do, let me know and I'll try and do it. Because I've only been learning for 6 months, but I think I've got a pretty good grasp of it. I definitely have been doing my research, and I'm still doing research. I've got like 6 books on the way today. Yeah, let me go through the ranking of these decks in terms of inclusivity, starting from worst to best. So these are my top 7 inclusive decks. 7's such a weird number, but a lucky number, so there we go. At number 7, we have the Cosmic Slumber. At number 6, we have the White New Moon, which I'm really surprised by because it's one of my favorite decks. So, like, if you want inclusivity in your decks, like I say, it doesn't have to be everyone be black. It can just be the odd character, and you can still love a deck because they just included you, and that matters so much that they included us. So that is one of my favorite decks. My favorite one is the all black one. Let's just get real. Then number 5 is Bow Life, which I'm also surprised about. That it's like kind of right in the middle because this is actually made by a black creator, and it's actually not as inclusive as some of the others. Number 4, we have Pulp Girls. Love this deck, my OG. I will always love this deck. I'll never get rid of it just because it started me off. Number 3 is the Modern Witch Tarot by Liminal 11. Number 2, super surprised by. I mean, I know it's super inclusive in all areas, but super surprised it is my second most inclusive deck since I never use it. I try not to. I try and use it just for healing, but like I say, when I get my This Might Hurt, this is going to be like basically yeeted, but it hasn't done anything wrong to me. I just don't vibe with it, you know. But number 2 is the Lunar Soul Tarot deck by Liminal 11. But by far the number 1 most racially inclusive deck is the Mahogany Tarot. Love this deck. Also, when you get this deck, you will get like a little authenticity little card that tells you what number your deck is. Mine's number 58 of 2,500 that were made in this, I think, 2nd edition. And then you get like a little note, you get a bag, which you can't see actually. Actually, I have one of a deck. It's in my handbag. I've got a tiny little mini deck, Delos Tarot, which is a fake. Like, I didn't realize it was a fake when I got it. So it doesn't live with my other decks. It lives in my bag, and it actually lives in the bag that came for this. I got a little blue one. It looks like the bags are selected randomly, so you get a surprise bag with it. But I keep my Mahogany Tarot in my favorite bag, which is this one, which is this, to me, it's like a black woman with an afro, but she's a tree. So I freaking love it. I love this bag so much. So that's why I keep my Mahogany Tarot. This is the backs to those if you were interested. And the bag that came with my Mahogany Tarot, which is a little bit smaller than this anyway, that has a smaller mini deck in it. So yeah, that is the end of my video. I hope you found this useful and informative, and I hope if you are looking to buy inclusive decks, this gives you some ideas, what ones you might want, why you might want them, you know, just some of my thoughts and things that I've picked up from using these decks. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you again soon in another tarot video, because I would like to make more tarot videos, so we'll see. But soon it's going to be spring, so I'll be back outside roller skating, so yeah. Anyway, rambling. Bye!